All right, we are live and all set to go.
Okay. My name is Janet Sandstrom. This is an open meeting of Northborough Earthworks Board is being conducted remotely consistent with Governor Healy's executive order of March 29th, 2023, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state emergency. All members of the Earthworks Board are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. The order allows the Northborough Earthworks Board to meet entirely remotely so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. The public is encouraged to follow along the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Members of the public who wish to view and live stream of the meeting may do so by going to the Northborough remote meeting on YouTube via the link listed on the agenda. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comments. When I call your name, please respond to the affirmative. Tony Pini,
Yes.
Ron Doucette,
Yes.
Fred Litchfield,
Yes, here.
Melanie Rich.
Yes.
Okay. Did Ron and Tony, did you look at the minutes from last week's last month's board meeting? Were you able to review them?
I did. And if Ron did, I'll make a motion to approve. Yes, I did.
All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion has been approved and the minutes have been accepted. Okay, we'll go. Do we have the applicants? Fred?
Yes,
Okay.
I see someone from both parties are here, so you
Okay.
can go by the agenda and start with 172 Barefoot Road if you like.
Okay,
Fred? Hey, Fred,
Yes?
do you want to do a roll call vote for those minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
Janet, can you do a roll call vote?
Yes.
I already did.
Oh, I
We
think
need-
Melanie might have missed it.
Yeah, Tony Pini here.
No,
Ron,
the-
Janet Sandstrom, here.
What she was looking for was the vote on the minutes.
Oh, okay.
Each of you
okay.
has, every time
Okay.
you make a vote, you have to do a roll call.
I.
So you have somebody make a motion, somebody seconds it, and then each person has to say how
Okay.
they vote.
I got it. Okay. You may, will someone make a motion to,
I'll
accept
move
the
that the
minutes?
be approved.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor, so we don't say.
All those in favor say aye and
Aye.
then do the roll
We
call.
do the work. Tony,
Aye. Oh, Tony Pini, yes.
Ron,
Ron just said yes.
okay, minutes have been approved.
Okay,
Okay, now we'll go to the first renewal permit. And of 172 Barefoot Road, and who is the applicant?
I believe that's Cedia Mora, and I don't know if she has anyone, if Jim, if you could let Cedia in, or actually I can do that, right?
Yes, you can, but I brought her in as well. She should be
Okay,
coming over
and
shortly.
then she can tell us if there's anyone else with her in the group that's on the call. I don't recognize any of the names that are listed as attendees outside of hers. She has her hand raised, so she must be having trouble.
Hi,
Okay.
I'm here with my
Wait.
husband Luciano Barreto.
Hello, Cedia. Is there anyone else coming with you?
Luciano is here with me.
Okay, great. So you just want to give the committee a little update on where you are in your project and well, just give us a little status report.
Okay.
Yeah, we start the drainage system now. We already installed the sept, it's done, the build is up. And we start the grade, we found some stones, so the land is not easy to work with. So we start the water connection as well. And now we start the grading too.
Does everyone have a copy of the plan? I sent them by email to everyone, and I know Ron picked up a paper copy. You're familiar with where the project is on Barefoot Road as you head up just past the railroad tracks
Yeah.
there on the right-hand side. It's been going on off and on, mostly off for a long time, and now they're really putting some time in on it. It's making some good progress. The permit definitely needs to be renewed for another year. You have a bond already in place. I forget the amount. Let's see if it's.
$10,500.
Yes, thank you. Yes, and that should be adequate to finish the site. It's relatively stable due to the amount of rock that they have. And a good portion of the site's is underway. Luciano, did you already make the water connection out in the street, or are you still working on the paperwork with the DPW?
No, the thing is, we got some problem because what the plane was showing to us. So the pipe is in not wrong place, but the plane is not right.
Okay,
I spoke with Tim from DPW, and
Yep.
he showed us exactly where the main line is. They made a cutting cap a few years ago, but the plane, I don't know why, is still showing the main line is another place. And this pipe is not is a little bit bigger. So I already ordered the tap sleeve.
okay,
Probably gonna get probably 1 week, and we can start the water line again.
okay. All right. And I know you were working with Peter on a revised plan. There are a couple of outstanding
Yeah. So,
comments that he was going to work on. Have you had contact with him recently?
oh yeah. Oh my gosh.
Okay,
Today he said, and he's supposed to send to you today.
okay.
I don't know if he did or not.
I didn't get anything yet today, but it
Yeah.
could be, the day's not over, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. So if for the committee, anybody who's been by there, you can see that they've started and stopped a few times. There were some changes, slight changes to the plan. They were not considered significant, but the Cedia and Luciano are not the people who got the project originally approved. That was a Mr. McDonald. And then when the plan was prepared, there was some discrepancy between the height of the foundation and what they actually on the plan and what was actually poured on site. And so the grading needed to be amended on the left side as you look at the property from the street, so that water was not running into the buildings. They graded a little bit to the left of the buildings near the property line with 172 or 180 Barefoot Road, Andy Curtis's project, and took advantage of all the rock that they discovered and kind of stacked it up along near the property line so that water would then not flow in towards the seam between the foundation and the sheet metal wall. And so the water will drain away from the building and then around into the parking lot and then be captured by the drainage system as it was originally designed. The original plan had a full foundation along that wall, and so there would have been more fill up against the building. but because the foundation that was poured was a half wall, that fill couldn't go the way it was originally shown on the plan. So they've amended the plan. They're working towards that. Everything seems to be fine with the building inspector. They're now working on the water line as he indicated, and then getting the driveway roughed in and the drainage. And where are you with the septic system, Luciano? Is it in?
The septic is installed already, 100% done.
The septic is in, so it really is a matter of getting the water line in, making sure the fire department has the right access and the connections for the sprinklers, and then I expect that you'll be done by the fall or pretty close
yeah.
to it,
Yeah.
and be occupying the buildings hopefully by the end of the year.
Yes, definitely, yes.
So my recommendation is that you would keep the bond at the same amount, make the permit good for one more year, give them a chance to finish the construction, prepare the as-built plans, and then rather than renew the permit again next year, that they would hopefully have the project completed before that happens, before the
Okay.
permit expires.
Yes.
Are there any
Okay,
questions?
yes, okay, thank you.
Question.
Okay. Ron,
Have you had any problems with the dirt drainage going onto the road, Fred?
I've not seen any there. It's pretty, there's a lot of rock towards the front, so it's been pretty good. There's a site next door, actually a couple of doors up, that there has been some issues with some erosion out onto the street, not next door where Andy Curtis is, actually the next one up from there. There's somebody doing some work there that's been tracking stuff out into the street, but I don't believe there's been an issue with this site.
Thank you.
Tony, any questions?
Nope.
Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the renewal permit for 172 Barefoot Road.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ron Doucette says aye.
Hmm.
Tony,
Aye.
do you say,
Yes.
okay. Motion has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Luck.
Okay,
Thanks.
so the next item on the agenda is a new permit at 455 Whitney Street. And the applicants are Ben McNally with Alpine American, their attorney Brian Falk, their construction supervisor Neil Crothers. I don't know if there's anyone else on the list of attendees who's supposed to come in with them, so I'll ask Brian to let us know if somebody else needs to be brought over besides those three.
Hi, Fred. It's Ben McNally.
Oh, hi, Ben.
I was joining as a panelist when you were saying it. So I heard me and Brian. Did you get Chris Ryan also?
No, I didn't. Chris Ryan and Neil Carruthers need to come in as well.
Yes, please.
There we go. All right.
Hey, everybody.
Was-
Good evening.
Hello, Brian.
So as Fred mentioned, this is
Hello, Ben.
455 Whitney Street. Applicants Hosokawa Alpine American. We're doing, in addition to our existing building on the site, we received approvals from the Zoning Board of Appeals and the Planning Board. And so this is essentially our last stop before applying for a building permit and working on the project. The addition adds a little less than a third of our square footage of our building, and it's for primarily for warehousing storage of the equipment that we have on the site. The area of the amount of removal is about 800 yards of soil. Some of it will be moved around on site, some of it will be removed from the site going off of Whitney Street. The total area of disturbance is approximately 18,250 square feet. And the topsoil depth in that area has been measured at between 7 and 10 inches. There'll be some temporary structures as part of the project. It's essentially erosion control barriers along the perimeter to prevent overspill. So fairly straightforward, looking to start the project as soon as possible. The addition is a modular, so it's kind of ready to be delivered as soon as we've got the site ready. Happy to take your questions and appreciate your time.
Are there any questions from the board?
Only question I have is with the removal of the dirt, any problems with dirt going onto the roads?
Most of the work, sorry, this is Chris Ryan with Meridian Associates where we did the site plans. Most of the work is going to be towards the rear of the site. There would be a little bit of work at the entrance where the planning board asked us to widen the apron to allow for easier access of the large delivery trucks. But the majority of the work, and as far as the earthwork is concerned, is all going to be towards the rear of the site. That's where the building's going to be, sort of the rear and the rear right to the east, where they're going to be putting down some new pavement, creating a shallow stormwater level spreader and forebay. So most of that earthwork is going to take place in that area, most of the grading work. In fact, all the grading work. The only stuff that's going to be done towards the front of the site would be, like I said, the work on the entrance, which is a lot of it will be paving, very little earthwork. So there shouldn't be a problem, but that hopefully that answers your question.
Yep, thank you.
Yep.
There'll be a condition, standard condition is for a tracking pad anyways between the construction site and Whitney Street, so that the rocks, there'll be some rocks there to act as like tire scrubbers to minimize that. And then if we see an issue, we would be in contact with who's ever in charge of the construction and make sure the street gets swept as needed. So something we'll keep an eye on.
Thank you.
The location of that site requires all the trucks to come up and go back down Whitney Street from the Berlin side of the town line due to the load capacity limit on the bridge over the railroad just up the street a little ways. So they can't go west. They've got to go back towards Berlin, towards the rotary to come and go from the site. So it really is very little impact to the town for vehicles. It really is a minor, very minor project compared to what you would normally see. The addition is about 4,500 square feet of building, and the parking lot expansion of the area where they're working for the level spreader is just slightly larger than that. It's really not a big amount of area. It's less than a half an acre in total.
Thank you.
Do we have a bond amount?
We do. I did an estimate this afternoon, and I recommend that the committee require a bond of $4,500. That would cover the stockpiling of the topsoil to be spread. You'd be required to keep the topsoil on site, guys, until the project's done, to make sure that if there's any, if you need it for anything, that you have it, and then whatever's determined to be excess, if it's in the way, can be removed from the site. That bond covers in the event that you were to walk away, which I know is unlikely. That if you were to walk away, they would have the ability to hire a bulldozer, spread the topsoil, hydroseed it, and kind of get the site stabilized so that it can't wash out into the street or onto the neighbor's property. And then there's a requirement for as-built drawings. I know the as-built drawings are required in your ZBA decision as well. However, this puts a monetary cost to that if you don't do it. So we have some money in there to do it, to hold back in case, to make sure you do. Um, Do you want to see if there's, I believe there may be an abutter who has some questions. I know that I did get a call from somebody on the condominium side in Berlin, Brian.
Oh.
They indicated they're very happy with some responses that you'd had in the past. She was asking me about some additional screening. I explained to that, and I don't know if the anyone else out there is the person I spoke to. I don't remember her name, but I explained that this board doesn't really get into screening and things. Those are all handled through the site plan application and the public hearing that was already held. But if they wanted to meet with you guys offline, you could certainly make yourselves available, and additional screening wouldn't be objectionable by the town, but it's not something that the Earthwork board typically requires. Ours is about construction and stabilization of the site primarily. That being said, you may want to open it up to see if there's any public comment.
So there's no hands that are raised.
I don't see any hands on my end.
Okay. Can we take a vote? Can we have a motion, please?
Tony Pini here. I'll make a motion that we approve the proposal as planned with the bond amount of, what was it, 4,500, Fred?
Yes.
Worked up.
Yes.
I'll second the motion. Ron Doucette?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, Ron Doucette.
Tony,
Tony Pini, yes.
Ron Doucette, yes.
the motion has been approved.
Okay, so I don't know who's going to handle it, Brian, Neil, Ben, but the bond is the amounts are usually fairly low, as in this case, so it could be posted in cash. If you decide to post it in cash, I will ask you to submit a W-9 form so that the treasurer's office can make sure that interest such that it is goes to the right person's account. And
Okay.
whoever posts the money is the only entity that can get it back when the project is done.
Okay. So I
So-
imagine we'll do that on behalf of our own company. We'll take care of it.
Okay.
I'll confer
Sometimes a
with Brian
contract-
to make sure, but yes, I imagine we'll just do that.
Sometimes the contractor does it. But either way, if the contractor does it, you can't get the money. If you do the money, the contractor can't use that money to get paid. It has to go back to the person who submits the W-9 and the check.
Understood. Okay. Well, we'll discuss it and we'll get it submitted appropriately, however that may be.
There's also an option for a surety or a performance bond for an insurance company, as long as they're licensed to do work in Massachusetts. But at this amount, it's probably not worth it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And there's no appeal period, so once you post the bond, you can go to work. So I assume all the other appeal periods have lapsed and you're good to go.
They have, Fred, I have both the special permit from the ZBA and the planning board ready to record, so.
Okay.
we're
We
ready
still
to
have to
go.
apply for a building permit though, correct?
Right.
Yes, that you'll need that road opening permit to work at that entrance with the DPW. That can be done by your contractor online. The only thing I'd do is encourage you to get your building plans into the building inspector. I know he gets backed up and it takes him a little while to go through those before he can give you the go ahead. So
Okay. Do you have any general sense onto timing as to how long it would be to get the permit from when we apply?
I don't.
Okay.
I know statutorily he has 30 or 45 days or something, and I
Okay.
know it doesn't always take that long, but I know it's not the next day thing.
Okay.
And he's on vacation this week, so I can't ask him tomorrow and get back to you.
Okay. Understood.
You can call the office, and the ladies in the office up there are very good about having a good idea about how long things are backed up right now. So they could tell you, give you an idea if you need to know.
Okay, Fred, I appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
All right,
All
good
right.
luck,
Thank
guys.
you, everyone. Take care. Have a great night.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
night.
All right. Bye.
Okay, so I know that we had talked about regular meeting schedule. Now that thought we had a host all lined up. I'll reach out to Owen tomorrow to find out what the deal was, if I was supposed to do something and didn't, and or the people that we schedule it with. But I do have you listed as the first Wednesday of the month as a recurring meeting at 6 o'clock virtually. I know there was some discussion earlier about virtual versus in-person meetings. In-person meetings are an option, but it's one or the other. The town does not have the capacity at this time to do a hybrid where some of you could be in person and some of you could be virtual. So it's either one or the other, and you can do either. The state of emergency has been lifted, the COVID restrictions have been lifted, so you can do either if you choose to. The virtual meetings do allow for a little more flexibility for those of you who travel, or if you're all in town and you want to meet, that's fine. We just need to know when we place the ad how it's going to be. So whenever you want to switch, if you choose to, need to let somebody know. Unfortunately, I don't know who that somebody's going to be. I assume you'll want to keep in contact with Melanie. She has a Northborough email and you can reach her through there, and she'll keep you apprised of who's going to be sitting in my seat going forward. So I don't know. They're still trying to figure it out. So
Looking, Fred.
what's that?
I hope they're at least looking.
They are looking. They've advertised. What they did, I believe they did, they modified the job description of the town engineer and the assistant DPW director, kind of melded them together and advertised for assistant DPW director, who would handle some of the tasks that I have. Some of the other tasks that I perform for the town will be taken care of by peer review for some of the land use boards, and some other staff members may be picking up some of the other things, because as you may or may not know, I have a lot of hats to wear some days. So there'll be more on that. I've offered to help out in the transition if I need to, and if I need to do something with your board, I'm happy to do that. You guys have all been great to work with, and I really have enjoyed working with all of you and all of the prior Earthwork board people. So I've always liked this board, so it would be fine with me if I need to. All that being said, the treasurer has been after me for some time to review a lot of the bonds that are in place. We take the bonds, we give them to the treasurer's office, they keep track of them. And it turns out there are several that are listed on the books that are no longer what we call active projects. And the bonds are still in place, but nothing's happening there. So I went through about 6 that had cash bonds that go back anywhere from 3 to 23 years. And I have a list of about 6 that I would ask you to release tonight, and I can give you a quick rundown on each one. There are some others that I think there may have been some paperwork that didn't find its way from my office to the treasurer's office that allowed and authorized the release, and I'm going to continue to go through the files. Some of those were performance bonds, and I believe what happens when the developer finds out that his bond has been released, he just stops paying the performance bond because there's a monthly charge, and then nobody actually notifies the treasurer. If I didn't do it, then they wouldn't know that you released it. If the bonding company hears from the applicant that they're not paying anymore, they stop corresponding with them. So it kind of languishes there. So in effort to clean up at least these 6 that I prepared today, there may be more in the future, but there are these 6 that I would talk to you about. The first one is actually, first, if there are any questions, I can answer those. Okay. So the first one I have is a bond for $6,000 that was placed for 1C Belmont Street. That's the site where there was a pylon sign on Route 9 just before it crosses Route 20, heading into Shrewsbury, across from the Lexus dealer.
Do you have a number, Fred, for that?
1C Belmont. It's
No. The year?
oh, the bond was originally done in let's see. Well, I don't remember exactly. That
Okay.
one's not that old. He was in with a few different projects, and then he put in that pilot. That's where the mini golf was.
Oh, okay.
He was trying. He had approval for a used car lot.
I remember that.
And then he got approval from the ZBA to do the pylon sign, and then he wanted to do both, but the ZBA told him he could do one or the other, and he was trying to see if there's a way that he could ultimately do both. So he stabilized the site, he took down all the mini golf stuff, he put up the pylon sign, but he wanted to keep this active, but he hasn't been back to you in a number of years. This site there's nothing to the site. The sign's there. There's no utility work there. So releasing the bond and letting him start all over if he ever chooses to do something seems to be the best way to do it.
Do we know where he is?
Do I know where he is?
Yeah.
I spoke to him a few years ago, so he's still
Oh, okay.
around. He's just not doing very much.
Okay.
He has family overseas, and he goes back and works overseas periodically. So I don't know if he's in the country at the time or not right now, but he does go back and forth, and I think he runs a used car lot online now. So I think he's around. His name is Mo Bayou.
Bayou. I don't see an amount on that.
It looks like it's 2018 number 240 Turnpike Inc.
Yes, that's it. 240 Turnpike Inc., $6,000.
Oh, I'm looking at six.
$6,000 in cash.
Yep.
Okay.
The next one is let me pull my spreadsheet together, and maybe I can narrow it down because I had highlighted some. The next one is an old subdivision off of Maynard Street that was developed by Casa Development, Casa Builders, Maynard Woods. It's the subdivision is Beechwood Circle. It's you go up Maynard Street, you go past Newton Street. There's a funny little four-way intersection with McAllister, Newton, and Maynard. Their original bond was $10,000. Actually, the original bond was much more, but it was reduced to $10,000, and then they never closed it out. The streets have been made public. All the work was done. I'm not sure why we never gave him his $10,000 back, but it seems like it's due at this time, and that was 2003. That's one of the older ones.
Okay.
Then I have one for Herb Chambers at 36 Belmont Street from 2018. I think we may have issued that one at one point. I know the work was completed. I've been over there a number of times. I know the work is done. I'm sure we have an as-built plan. So that one is from, like I said, from 2018 was $5,000.
Yeah, looks like it.
Yeah.
The next one I have is another older one from Monroe, 11 Monroe, which is 2008, $4,000. And I believe that was Joe Brossi came in. He was going to redevelop that property, and I don't think the project ever went forward. They never did anything. They posted the bond, and they never built any building. So I'd say we just send him his money back and say,
Right.
start all over. The next one is,
That was 08. Huh.
the next one is even older. It's 2000. 273 Southwest Cutoff, Telecorp Corporation. Telecorp Realty. They built the cell tower that's fashioned after a pine tree.
We tried giving that money back. We couldn't find it. We couldn't find who.
We
owned it.
did. After that, a few years ago, I said we give it to him. The guy who owns the property now is the dentist, Dr. Mohiban. He built that dentist office in front of the cell tower.
Right.
So if we can't find Telecorp Realty, he actually owns the property and they rent from him. So I would encourage the treasurer's office to give the money to Dr. Mohiban because he did post a bond for the construction of the dental facility. He did provide as-built drawings. His as-built drawing does show exactly where the cell tower is. We have all the information that we need. The money should go back to somebody, and it's $2,750.
Is that an active tower?
I believe it is.
Really?
It's
And-
green.
I remember
It's
we
green.
tried giving the money back and we couldn't find who owned it.
Well, I'm doing my job to do the paperwork to allow them to give it to somebody, and if they,
Okay.
you know what, if we're also reaching out to town council and saying if we can't give it back, then the town will somehow take the money, but there's no outstanding work to be done.
Yeah.
The last one is on my list for the cash bonds is 6 Church Street, the United Bank, on the corner of Church and Pierce. And that one goes back to 2011.
Wow.
And it was for $5,000. Now that property has changed hands. Andrew Abu has his realty office there.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure what happened there. I don't know if the project is done, so it's stabilized, so there's no reason to hold the money. I don't know that we ever got the as-built drawing there. And then when Mr. Abu's office went in there, they didn't have any site work to do, so they didn't have to post a bond or anything. And again, it's cash that's on the books with the treasurer's office, and they'd like to clean the books. There are several performance bonds, I think most of which we have released over the years. And as I go through the files, I'm finding letters that we sent to the treasurer's office, whether they didn't receive it or they didn't attach it to the project that we were releasing it from. I'm going to give them those letters. I did find a couple letters in the file today when I was going through it that were on the list that I got from the treasurer's office that we had released from a couple of decades ago. So I'm just trying to clean up what I can to make life easier for the next person and for the treasurer's office and the finance director, who he has all of this stuff comes up on the town's annual audit, and the auditor says, you got to do better, you got to do better, you got to clean the books up. So I'm just trying to do something that I didn't have time to do for quite a while. So if you could make a motion to vote those releases, and I will send letters to the treasurer's office to that effect tomorrow.
Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll try. I motion that the following 6 cash bonds be released. 2011 one, United Bank, $5,000. Telecorp Realty for $2,750. 11 Monroe Street, $4,000. 36 Belmont Street, $5,000. The $10,000 one, Herb Chambers, I can't remember who that one was.
10,000 is Maynard Woods.
Maynard Woods, and then 1C Belmont Street for $6,000.
Herb Chambers was the 5,000.
Okay, yep, yep, the 36 Belmont Street. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Uh,
I'll-
All those in favor?
Ron says yes.
Tony,
Tony Pini says yes.
motion has been approved.
Janet, you can vote too, you know.
Janet says yes, too.
You're
We just-
part of the crew.
Unanimous.
Okay. So I don't have anything today for next month. Your next meeting is, if a regularly scheduled meeting, if it needs to occur, would be July 5th. And the deadline for those ads to appear in the newspaper would be next Tuesday, June 13th. No one's contacted me about getting on the agenda for July 5th. If someone does, I will let you know.
That's not a popular week.
Yeah, well, a lot of people are on vacation, so. But that's when I had reserved the host for your meetings, so that's what we're gonna go for. My guess is that if we don't hear very soon, there won't be a meeting on July 5th, but most likely there will be one in August. I know there's a couple other projects in the works. As you may recall, town meeting voted to provide an exemption in the earthwork bylaw for
I have-
projects over an acre.
I got a question on that.
So the deal, as I understand it, the town meeting approved that exemption. So any project that's disturbing land above 1 acre would not be required to get an earthwork permit, provided they obtain a permit from the Conservation Commission, a land disturbance and stormwater permit. They have slightly more stringent regulations. They have the same bonding requirement that we have. They have ongoing maintenance and operation issues and controls over stormwater projects beyond completion of construction. So the town meeting voted to approve that. The way I've talked to town council about it is that if a applicant comes in, he's over an acre, he will be directed to the Conservation Commission to get a land disturbance permit. However, in the event that the Attorney General's office, for some reason, does not approve the Article 36 that was approved that provided this exemption, they would then be required to come back and get an earthwork permit. If they've already posted a bond with the land disturbance permit, you would issue a permit without a bond amount. No sense in making them bond the project twice. So now, all that being said, Ron, you still have a question?
No, I just explained that if the other committee gives them a bond and a permit, then they don't need one from the Earthworks, but we'll still be part of the equation, so to speak, of
They would still be required to get a permit from you, but it would not make sense to issue make them post a second bond for the same amount, same
Yep. Okay.
reasoning.
Yep.
But that's only in the event that the Attorney General's office does not approve. If for some reason we did something wrong in the adoption process and we have to go back to town meeting again next year to correct it. In the meantime, people who are over an acre would still be required to get the permit, but we wouldn't not require a bond. And what I talked about with town council was when someone comes in to apply for the permit, we would have them sign an understanding with that spelled out, that they would come to you in the event that the Attorney General's office does not approve of the article. So,
Okay.
but I see it being very unlikely that it's not approved. We've been doing this for a long time and the process is pretty clear about what you have to do, and we did do that. So I'd be
Okay.
surprised if it doesn't get approved.
I got a question. Go ahead, Janet, if you want.
I have a question, which it's very confusing. Now, you're saying, Fred, that if they have over 1 acre, which we were aware of, and they go before conservation, they do not have to come before our board at all?
Correct.
Okay,
The conservation, what we did was a couple of years ago, we adopted a bylaw, a new bylaw, land disturbance and stormwater bylaw. And as part of that, projects that are disturbing more than 1 acre of the project size are required to get that land disturbance and stormwater permit from the Conservation Commission. Most of the projects in town that are of that size, there are very few projects that are, more than 1 acre that don't have any wetlands on their site. And so they issue lots of permits. They will issue the secondary permit to the same site. And that land disturbance permit carries with it a condition for a bond that also includes ongoing post-construction maintenance and stormwater evaluation. It doesn't make sense since that permit from the land disturbance and stormwater bylaw is very similar to what you have, plus it has some other things that you would have somebody get both permits. So we provided an exemption to those projects that are exceeding 1 acre. Still, so if somebody has 3/4 of an acre with or without wetlands on their site, they're coming to you for a permit, which is the case tonight with 455 Whitney Street. They're about 1/2 acre. They didn't have any wetlands, and so whether they had wetlands or not, they were going to get earthwork permit.
So you're saying the Earthworks board will only be used when it's 1 acre or less?
Well, less than 1 acre. An acre, or actually more than 1 acre is conservation. 1 acre or less is all of you.
I think they're trying to get rid of us.
No, that's not the goal at all.
Well, that was my next question. Why have us?
Well, because there are a lot of projects that you issue permits for that are under 1 acre. There's probably more projects under 1 acre than over 1 acre.
You're kidding. Is that true?
Oh,
I bet if you look
yeah.
if you go through our spreadsheet,
Oh, yeah.
you'll see that more than half are under 1 acre.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Okay,
Honest Fred.
There are not that many big pieces of land left in town that haven't been disturbed already.
I got another question.
Sure, I got another answer.
Okay. When the contractor sends out for the butters, do they have to send a certified receipt requested document?
Yeah,
Because they do?
they're supposed to,
Okay,
and they're supposed to provide proof of mailing to us.
okay. Because it says it has to advertise in the Worcester Telegram and Gazette. How many people get that paper? Yeah, exactly, 0. Won't they change that you put it on either the Red Flag website or the website town so we can get modernized?
We've stumped Fred.
No. I'm not stumped. It's your bylaw. It's your bylaw. Whenever we make a change, we have to go to town meeting. So you want to make that change and go to town meeting to do that, that's fine. There's the bylaw says it has to be in a newspaper of circulation. It can be other newspapers, but there's no cost to the town. The applicant's responsible for placing the ad, paying for the ad, and notifying the abutters.
I noticed a lot of people do that in the Advocate lately.
A lot of our boards are now moving towards using the community advocate. They only put that paper out once a week instead of every day. So the requirement, the notification gets stretched out even further. As it is, you have an obligation, their applicants have an obligation to notify the newspaper 3 weeks before your meeting.
What
And there's the Telegram and Gazette. It has to be posted in a newspaper, I believe, of general circulation 21 days before the meeting. And the Worcester Telegram if you're posting it, I try to get people to post it on Tuesday, 22 days before the meeting, so there's no question. And then the newspaper requires it to be sent to them, I think, Thursday or Friday the week before. So if you then go to a newspaper that only produces paper once a week, then the filing deadline is even that much further out. It's more than a month before the meeting that they would have to send that in. But since it's covered by the applicant and the butter notification is covered by the applicant and not the town, we have not seen the reasoning behind changing how we do it. You could, if you wanted to, if the board as a group wanted to discuss it, you could go to town meeting and amend that time frame that the ad has to be in the newspaper prior to the meeting. If you think 21 days is too much, you could reduce that to, 14 days.
I'm more concerned about who reads the Worcester Telegram Gazette.
Well,
And
that's, I mean, lots of people do. A lot of people get it online. They don't actually get the physical paper anymore. They got an app on their phone, just like everything else. Like an app on their phone, or you can read it on your computer. You just go onto their website. They have an online subscription. It's
Your butters are notified, Ron.
the butters all get a paper copy
Your
of the
butters
ad.
are all
basically.
notified.
That's why I asked them. They're notified by a
They-
certified letter, so that
They
takes
are.
care of. I was just curious why the Gazette, which is a zero paper, Tony, I agree, is still there.
Well, we're not going to disparage the Telegram Gazette now, are we, Ron?
It's an important stream for the paper.
I mean, newspapers perform a valuable service. Like I get the TNG online on my phone. I read it. I look
you?
over the articles. I get it on my phone. I can read it on my computer. The Community Advocate is not something I can get on my phone, so
Yeah,
it's
understand.
not.
I just want to
But,
question.
but some boards and committees are going to advertise in the Advocate, and they find that works pretty well, and it's more cost effective for them. We have not gone that route yet, simply because we're not paying for it. We're requiring the applicant to do all that work. If you want to change that, your board, you can think about that and see if you want to change something for next year's town meeting. And because your bylaw is a standalone, it's not part of zoning, it's not part of any other board, it's in the town charter. Every time you change the bylaw, you have to go to town meeting to make those amendments, like we did this year with the exemption.
Okay, Ron,
Thank you.
that's that. Fred, the board and we all want to thank you for all your hard work.
Oh, you're more than
You've been
welcome.
You've been a wonderful mentor, and we're going to miss you.
Well, thank you. I will miss working with all of you as well. It's been a nice run for what seems like now when I look back, it doesn't seem that long, but it has been a long time. So
You got the
thank
gray
you.
hair to prove it.
I had those when I got here.
Thank you, thank you
All right.
again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
Okay,
Thank you, Fred. We'll miss
Thank you. And thank you, Jim, for jumping in and helping us out tonight.
thank you, Jim.
Absolutely, not a problem.
Does someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
All those in
Aye.
favor?
Ron just said yes.
Tony Pini, yes.
Janet says yes.